All right, it's day 2 of the Chistie scandal, and he still hasn't apologized. Oh, wait, he did.
I come out here today to apologize to the people of New Jersey. All I can do is apologize. I'm just going to apologize. I think that's all you can do. I apologize to the people of New Jersey today, and why I apologize specifically to the people of Fort Lee, and to apologize to folks. And so I'm going to do that.
Well, that apology wasn't good enough. Oh, wait, the Fort Lee mayor accepted it.
I accepted his apology.
Are you glad he came?
I'm glad he came.
Are you convinced
Do you believe him that
I'm
he
glad
didn't
he
have anything
came.
to do with it?
I take him for his word,
Which is what?
which is he had nothing to do with it.
Okay, so what do we do now, dear media? Do we keep chasing a rabbit we already caught? The rabbit we skinned, blackened, and washed down with your favorite Merlot? We've given this story 44 times more coverage than the IRS scandal, and the Gates book is already old news. Don't get me wrong, Chistie is worth covering, but now that you've awakened from journalistic hibernation, there must be batter bunnies out there to chase. Like all the stuff the White House has never said sorry for before. You know, like Fast and Furious, Solyndra, the GSA, Tony Rezko, Geithner's tax dodge, hiring Eric Holder. Silence. The only thing President Obama has apologized for is that people were dumb enough to believe him about Obamacare. And what of hiding disasters like Obamacare, Benghazi, the DOJ, and the IRS to save an election? The White House is better at covering up stuff than Maybelline. So Obama's given us more flubs than a blooper reel, thanks, of course, to an adoring media. Coddled more than the royal baby, Obama never has to face his mistakes, which is why he makes so many. So it's no surprise the media now pivots to Chistie to prevent itself from becoming its own lame duck dynasty. It's another win for O, who may never, ever apologize. And really, why should he? You want sorry? The sorriest people ever are those who voted for him twice.
How could you have come up with a bigger hack opening than that? That was unbelievable.
I took a Chistie scandal and I turned it into an Obama.
Nobody's heard about Tony Rezko for years.
I know.
Why didn't you put Reverend Wright on there?
I didn't have time. By the way, there was I could have had Bill Ayers.
Yeah, you could.
There's so much to choose from.
Golfing,
the
Hawaii,
tune game,
yeah,
the cocaine.
Yeah,
How about that plane that they sent over New York?
Wait a second.
Remember that?
By the way, what did he close? Obama closed the D.C. monuments. He closed the national parks. He didn't just close a freeway.
No. The Republicans in Congress voted to close the
that was
government.
done out of payback as well.
No.
I do admit, though, Bob, that was a very hackneyed
Oh,
monologue.
really?
But
Yeah.
I'm proud of it because it's right. Let me get Andrea in because she didn't have a chance to comment on this. Here's the thing. There's going to be thousands of pages that are going to be dropping from the sky, documents, God knows what's in there. But it only needs one, right? There only has to be one little email or one little thing, and the whole thing explodes like something.
It has to prove that Chris Christie knew about this and either okayed it or it came from him. Or it's the alternative, which is what he said yesterday, that this staffer, who either had a nervous breakdown or is a complete megalomaniac, which is, by the way, what they're saying,
right,
that she was just drunk with power, acted on her own. If something comes out in those emails, Greg, yeah, he's in real trouble.
Right.
But I've seen this story before in politics. You have a big rising star as a boss. You have somebody who has extreme power, and the staff assumes the persona of that person and oftentimes gets a bigger ego. And so they become vindictive. I mean, look, I've had my own run-ins with the Chistie staff, okay? And I'm someone who has been an ally to them. There's a perceived person in his operation that doesn't like me that shut me out, wouldn't come in and do talk radios, even when Chistie said he was willing to come on numerous times. There's some attitude going on, and it's a culture that I think is systemic in not just his staff, but it happens a lot in politics. And I think this is a perfect example of a staff that needs to get their, not all of them, but their egos in check.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way you're also talking a little bit about Dana Perino, who has the same
I was exactly talking about Dana Perino.
Just an awful human being. You know what I noticed? I was watching another network that I won't name, but they found it. They were skeptical that that woman, they called her a lady, that lady would have been responsible for this, which I thought was quite sexist.
Because there's, the Republican men are waging a war on women.
Yes.
And I actually wouldn't be surprised if there were more people that came out to try to defend her, and then all of a sudden she'll be running for Senate.
Yeah.
the media hates acceptance of an apology because then its story stops.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why in that press gaggle yesterday where the Fort Lee mayor is being like a stand-up, gracious, smart public servant, he's saying, yeah, I accept his apology. Yeah, I accept his
That's pretty
explanation.
funny.
Yeah, and they're like, really? No, but come on, we've been standing here for hours. Can't you give us more to talk about?
Yeah. Eric, this isn't going to end, obviously. What do you predict happens?
I think there's literally 1,000 pages that they're piling through right now of documents.
They won't read it, though. No, they will read. They won't read the Obamacare bill, but they'll read this.
They'll
Or his
find
books.
this, and if there is one
Dreams of My Father.
to Chris Christie, if there's one innuendo that he knew about it, he's in some deep doo-doo. But here's what I perceive happening. So the media loves this because it did one thing. Chris Christie's a big name, big politician. I think the media actually likes Chris Christie. I think the mainstream media actually likes this guy because he did the bear hug with President Obama. But the most important thing that the media has done this week is distanced President Obama from Gates' book. Gates' book comes out on Monday. Everyone's talking about it. It shows that President Obama, Hillary Clinton Hillary Clinton had her opinion developed about war strategy based on politics. Obama sent 30,000 of our kids into battle based on something he didn't necessarily believe, didn't trust his commanders. And so that was bad. That was damning. This was going to go big, become bigger. It's going to be, grow upon itself. And then the Christie stuff. And they're like, wow, this is a great opportunity for us to pivot from President Obama, to take the attention away from that, and let's go look at a Republican. I would tell you, though, this Gates stuff, it keeps leaking. More and more stuff.
Well, and there's 60 Minutes interview on Sunday.
Exactly.
You should get the Gates book and just read it verbatim here on the show. Every time you have a question, you just say, I'm not answering that, and go to page 68. And then keep reading. And then sometime by a year from now, you'll have it done.
It's not okay that President Obama sent 30,000 of our kids into harm's way and then later said that he wasn't sure about the policy. Can you imagine being one of those parents, sending your kid off to war, and then the President of the United States says, sure, this is the right strategy. I really don't know.
I can't prove this absolutely, but I would imagine that every president who sends people off to war has some point has doubts in their mind about it.
No. Not only doubts expressed in front of Gates and Hillary Clinton that he developed his Iraq strategy based on politics. Wow.
That was back during the campaign. It's not when he was president of the United States.
No, Bob. He also said in front of Gates that he wasn't sure of his strategy after he sent people into
pointed out any of the really positive things, which a lot of them that Gates says about Obama?
No, he does say a lot of positive things.
Yeah, he does. Well, I
just think we need to remember what we're
talking about. The new excerpt that came out today from Gates' book that just recently was released about a few hours ago that I read, it's not so flattering about President Obama. There are some things, including one of them being the topper, that Gates thinks that President Obama made the right decisions. So if you're commander-in-chief, that's the most important thing. Did you make the best decisions? Right. Are the politics messy along the way? This recent excerpt shows just how politically minded the White House was in all of the meetings, even with Gates, and then also just shows what I think everyone assumed, but it confirms how thin-skinned the president and his team are when it came to dealing with the military, and even suggested, do they not respect me? That kind of language is not attractive.
But that's why I felt like monologue on Gates' book.
What?
It says we're talking about his Gates book. You should have done your monologue about Gates'
I
book.
actually want to go to Andrea and talk to her about what really matters right now, which is, of course, The Bachelor, which started a few days ago.
I'm so into Juan.
Yeah, I know. Who is it? Chris Harrison, is that his name? Was on The View talking about this very controversy with our lovely companions over there.
People died because of this.
Wait. We don't. No. Wait, let's back up. First of all, the liberals are just foaming at the mouth. They couldn't. This is like porn for them. They are so excited to finally get at this guy, which we don't know anything about. Some of the networks are accusing him of murder already. It's like, easy, big fella.
Easy. Andrea, this guy just came out, not in the traditional sense of coming out, but he just came out as a non-liberal by doing that.
It's harder to come out as a non-liberal than the other thing. And if I had a rose, Greg, he would get the final rose Chris Harrison and I had in this kind of dramatic rose ceremony ever.
Exactly.
I bet they did not expect that from him.
No.
It's extremely true. And even with the Gates book, again, as Dana said, I think a lot of people knew that President Obama did it for politics, right? He didn't want to lose Afghanistan on his watch, so he continued to prop up a kleptocracy for his benefit. But people died. When Whoopi Goldberg said, people died, That was the appropriate response for Benghazi. That is what they should have said with Benghazi. When there's a scandal on the Democratic side, people lose their lives. This Chris Christie thing pales in comparison to the other scandals. It's still important because we don't know what the payback was for. That's still a mystery. What was that for? But it is not the IRS scandal. It's not the AP scandal. All of these other scandals, really, they dwarf Bridgegate.
Well, let me just say that Chris Christie is a rising political figure. It is not surprising at all that he's going to get this much coverage. And you're wrong about people dying. There were 20 kids on a bus
stop it.
who got asphyxiated when they were driving across that.
This didn't work yesterday, Bob.
Was that
didn't
not
happen.
True?
You dreamt this.
Oh, I must have, because I thought that was the case.
You know what?
What about the
Somebody
lawsuits?
did die of a heart attack, though.
We were #1 in the ratings last night.
Yeah.
Maybe because when you said that, everyone went, what did he just say?
16 kids
There were 16
died.
kids on a bus that died. I didn't hear about that.
What about the lawsuits that are springing from this? Is that going to be an issue? I don't know.
So it's a lot of time and a lot of taxpayer money for a really stupid political decision by staffers of Chris Christie who have now been fired. Can I mention one thing about the guy Chris, the Bachelor guy?
Yes.
Okay, I think that what he did on The View when he surprised them is he expressed what we were talking about yesterday with most people not identifying with the Republican or the Liberal or the Democrat Party, and because they just don't see things in such black and white ways. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg is basically saying that Chris Christie killed people, and he's like, well, wait, okay, hold on, that's not right. And for people on the right who were trying to defend Christie without actually looking at the facts first, I think that's why people are starting to pull away. And somebody like Chris, what's his name?
Harrison.
He's very cute. Expressed what people were thinking.
Democratic Party.
The guy who left his wife for one of the contestants.
He can still be cute if you did that.
I don't know.
Observing something.
Yeah.
When Chris Christie became the darling of the left with the whole Obama thing around Hurricane Sandy,
He used to be
they
darling
were
to
just
you.
fawning over this guy from Hurricane Sandy all the way through the election. Now you see these liberals on talk shows going, they don't know where to go with it. They don't know if they should trash Chris Christie because they just loved him, or trash him because now he's a Republican, or trash him because now he's a potential Republican in
They never
2016.
really loved Chris
They can't
Christie.
figure out where to go with it.
They will never really love Chris Christie because he has an R behind his name. It was all phony. The minute he runs against a Democrat, in a real sense, like a Hillary, they're going to kill him. I mean, we sat on our New Year's show and I said they are going to go after him. They're going to call him a bully. Cover of USA Today. I am not a bully. When you're explaining in politics that you're not a bully, you're losing, and we're only 9 days in. I mean, they are set to get him.
Well, where did he get the reputation of being a bully? Because he was a bully.
Stronger than the storm. Okay, he proved, and his staff proved, they are stronger than the storm. That was their slogan in New Jersey.
I will say this.
Than the storm?
Stronger than the storm.
That's a title.
Don't you know the song?
Huh?
Don't you know the song? There's like a whole song that goes
It's like
with
a campaign.
You know, to Eric's point, it is about removing the strongest contender for Hillary.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. But the other thing, too, if you noticed last night, a lot of the coverage of Christie was about his weight. Almost every late night talk show talked about how fat he was. And I wonder, and I was talking to Bernie from the Ima show, and he said, like, if Hillary gains weight, I mean, is that going to, is that okay? Is that okay? I know, but you can't. Double standard.
Right, sorry.
Christie's fat, we get it. All right, ahead on the 5. A Facebook free-for-all. Send us your questions for us now at facebook.com/the5FNC. We'll answer what you ask us, I guess. Plus, if you're wondering